Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to my messy garage, where I have a few of my motorcycles stashed, and we're going to go out and do a little ride. Just need to plug in some power to the old cell phone. So, again, my messy garage, where I keep some of my motorcycles. Top secret location. I gotta unplug battery tender. I keep all my bikes plugged in all the time. Even that beautiful yellow Ducati, which as you can see is being used to storage couple jackets, my cover. Oh, yeah. I got more motorcycle gear than most people. Which brings me to this video. I am finally going to do the 7-gear challenge that I was challenged by my good friend Rich Grant. You know him as Have Moto Will Travel. He challenged me to the 7-gear challenge, which is a list of 7 questions that pertain to us motorcyclists. And before I get going, I'm going to challenge a YouTuber named Michael Byrne. I believe that's how he pronounces his name, Bryne, I think it is. I think it's Michael Byrne. I forget the name of his challenge, but he's up in Vermont. I know, Mike, you're right in the middle of mud season up there. You probably have snow that you still got to shovel. But when the weather clears, I want you to get that Suzuki. I think he's got a GS. I'm going to mess up the name, but it's a GSX S750. I believe it's the motor chassis of the GSXR 750, but it's the naked version. So I'm not sure if it actually has a name or if I messed that up. I'm sure Michael will let me know. But oh, can you guys hear that? The sound of the red Ducati. Alright, so we're going to try and get this done in one shot, which I think is another challenge, but I'm not going to challenge anybody to that. I don't think I was challenged with that, but the 7-gear challenge. First question is, what motivated me to get my first motorcycle? Well, it was way back in 1983. I was 15 years old, and I was given my first motorcycle. Or maybe not given. I guess I did work for it. I was living with my brother-in-law and my sister and their 2 children, my 2 nieces. And they were on a lake house. I grew up on a lake too. But they bought, Dennis was my brother-in-law, my sister Sue. They purchased a summer house. And they needed to convert it to a year-round residence. So, first thing we had to do, what's up, buddy, was get a foundation around that house, or get a foundation under that house. So that summer when I was living with them, me and Dennis, basically, we jacked the house up on these big stilts. Still lived in it while we were doing this. And when Dennis went to work during the day, I would go out with a little shovel and I'd start digging underneath the house. And I would dig out the foundation on the outside. And then when Dennis came home from work, we would make cement and pour the foundation from the spots that I dug. And I spent the entire summer digging every day, pouring cement every night, and he really taught me a good lesson on working hard. And payment for that was he had a think it was a 1971 CB450 twin. He had just got it in a trade because he had a speedboat and he traded it for the motorcycle, so he gave me the motorcycle for that summer's worth of work. And so I was only 15 at the time. In Massachusetts, you needed to be 16 to get a permit, 17 to get your license. So what I would do is during the day, I'd take my breaks and I would hop on that little Honda and I would ride around the fire roads that go around this pond. And that's how I learned how to ride. And so by the time I turned 16 and I was ready for my permit, I had already been riding for a good year. I never grew up with dirt bikes or anything like that, so is that a white VFR I just saw? I think, oh, is that a Ducati too? What was that? No, it's a Repsol. What's the first bike though? Sorry for the distraction. I love motorcycles. All motorcycles. Can you hear this Ducati? I'm not sure if this is going to pick up on the microphone, but man, this bike just sounds perfect. Perfect. Oh boy, so I'm going way off track here. So that's how I got my first motorcycle. That was in 1983. Since then, I've had 28 motorcycles. And it started this love affair of two wheels. Probably everybody who's watching this video knows what I'm saying when I talk about the love affair of two wheels. I'm sure if you haven't been riding your whole life, if you are riding now, you understand the passion. I got bit at a very, very young age, and I never stopped. As I grew older, got married, had kids, started a business, I never gave up riding. I always rode, and I rode a lot. I think I've just cracked 700,000 miles since that first year of '83 in riding. I can remember reading an article back in late '80s about the Million Mile Club with BMW, and I always thought someday I want to get there. I have not owned a BMW yet, but it's on my list. So, question number 2 is, what types of rides do I prefer? Twisty or straight? Nah, it's silly. I like just getting on a flat, straight road with no scenery. Throw in a whole bunch of traffic lights so you're stopping like every like Central Florida. That's what I love about motorcycle riding. Put me in like a really aggressive sport bike position where I can just barely lift my head up, and then put me on a straight road with a ton of lights. That's what I like. Not twisty, of course. Single or a group riding. Most of my riding is like this. No one in front of me I know. No one behind me that I know. I am a loner. I've always been a loner. I did get involved with a motorcycle group once for a couple of years. I still have some really good friends from that group. But and did a lot of group rides for a couple of years. But it was fun when I did it, but not anymore. I've always been a loner. I go out and I ride by myself all the time. I wish I had somebody that could be on the back seat with me. So if anybody's looking, for someone to take them for rides, looking for a cute older guy who wants to hop on back of a Ducati or Triumph every once in a while, give me a shout out. I like that. I like two-up riding, and I do have some good friends that I enjoy riding with, just one or two people that I know and trust. And so that answers that question. Let's see if I can look without getting killed. Well, the next one is back roads or slabs. Well, listen, if I can't be on a straight, flat, boring road in Central Florida with tons of traffic lights, I'll take a big, flat, boring highway any day over a twisty road or a back road. Absolutely. Again, no. Even in my car, I'm a back road kind of guy. I went to pick up my daughter. I hope I trigger this light. And I got to back down on the old choke. So sometimes the way you get these lights triggered on the Ducati is you got to do this. Because what that does, see, it worked. Because that tickles your inner thighs, which runs down your legs and then transfers to the ground. Only Ducatis that works with. Oh boy. So, yeah, I'm always a back road kind of guy. I went and picked up my daughter at school, which is an hour and 15 minutes away via highway. Halfway there, I'm like, yeah, screw this. And I got off the highway and I did back roads. Turned it into a 2-hour drive. So, that's just the way I roll. I have no desire to ride on highways. I know that you have to do it sometimes. I do it sometimes to get through cities or to get somewhere in a hurry. So I'm not saying I don't do it, but I just don't like to do it. Okay? All right. Question number 3. This is easy, huh? What's my favorite type of trip? A one day, a weekend, or a longer? Like, who came up with these questions? They're silly. Of course, the more time I can spend riding, the better. If I didn't have a family, I have 2 kids that I'm raising. I have 4 kids. 2 of them are out on their own. All girls, too. Yeah, I know. 2 of them are out on their own. 2 of them still live at home. And I'm a single dad. They live with me full time. I take care of everything for them. Unfortunately, they don't have the other parent in their lives. And so if I didn't have that responsibility, which I take seriously and I love, I would be on my motorcycle somewhere, not here. I'd be doing what Itchy Boots is doing right now. I'd be riding somewhere else. Although I hope she makes it home safe. I don't know if you've followed her, but the corona has really messed things up for those worldwide travelers. And Tracy Charles. Tracy, I know we're Facebook friends, and I think she's doing pretty good where she's held up. I'm not sure what country she's in, but Itchy Boots had some scary times in Peru. But so yeah, I guess but here's the thing, right? But I can't do that because of my responsibilities. I own my own company. I still got to work. I got family and friends. So I do day rides. I do long weekends. But one thing I would never give up. I would never give up a day ride like I'm doing right now to be able to do a longer ride later in the year. So which I'm not sure if I explained that correctly, but I enjoy all 3 of those. But if there was a perfect situation, it would definitely be a longer ride. I plan on, when I retire, to spend 1 year on my motorcycle around the entire North America continent, maybe a little bit of Mexico. So that's that. Question number 3 is done. Let's move on. Question number 4. See how easy this is? My favorite destination is right here, baby. My ass on a seat, my hands on a handlebar, my head looking forward, riding. That's my favorite destination. More of a mindset for me. You might have been thinking, oh, Jim, you're supposed to give me like a physical location. Like the Blue Ridge Parkway or the Pacific Highway or... Well, listen, I haven't been everywhere yet. Well, it's on my list, but I haven't been there yet. But out of the places I've been to, probably the Smoky Mountains is my favorite destination. Next to Cabot Trail, might be kind of, or Nova Scotia Cabot Trail, that might be tied for second. But I've only been there once. I've been to the Smoky Mountains many times. And I'll probably go back this summer. It's a beautiful place to be. Let's turn the heated grips on. So, yeah. How do you like that, huh? Oh, I know I'm going to take you guys. I'm going to show you something kind of cute. Okay, how about a lesson from riding? What have I learned from riding? Well, I guess I would have to say is how precious life is, how fast it goes by, and how small our world is. When I was 15, it seemed like the whole world was in front of me, which I guess it was. But I never thought, when I was 15, if I knew somebody that was 50, I thought they were ancient, and I thought it would be a lifetime to get there. And now that I'm 50, it seems like when I was 15 was just like 3 years ago. It really does. So if you're a young one and you're listening to this, man, do it. Do it now. Don't hesitate. Do it. If you have something that you've always wanted to do, whether it's motorcycling or hiking, or you see a girl that you want to go up and say hi to, and you have to do it. It goes by so flippin' fast. Oh boy. How about wisdom for a new rider? Well, I'm going to be practical on this one. I'm going to give you the advice that I was given by Dennis when I started riding. See this right here? Can you see that? This thing that's on my head? Go buy the most expensive helmet that you can buy. And spend a little more. You can live without your arms, you can live without your legs, but you can't live without your helmet, your head. Sorry. You need your head. You got to protect your head. And when you first start riding out, I'm of that camp that there's two types of riders. There's ones that have crashed and ones that are going to crash. And it might be just a simple little fall over. It might be a really major one. But the chances of you hitting your head in that crash are pretty good. And you got to protect that noggin of yours. My good friend Carl up in Vermont reminded me of the story. I remembered it once he brought it up. But it's the story of Ricky Graham. And hold on now. I'm going to show you something as we go by here. I'm not going to stop taking any pictures. I'm just going to write. I'll tell you this story another time. But if you look in this field, you should be able to see the shape of a heart in the grass right there. Can you see that? It's not really good right now. In the summertime, it's really good. I'll put up a picture of what it looks like. Summertime, he puts a little more fertilizer in that shape of a heart, so it's dark green. And then he doesn't mow it so it stands out, but I'm not sure if you got a view of that. So Ricky Graham was one of my favorite motorcycle racers back in the 80s. He was a flat track racer, which is miles and half miles. Steel shoe, dirt track racing, going around in a circle. If you haven't seen it, watched it, it's phenomenal. It's one of the best motorcycle racing to watch. And Ricky Graham, he was a superstar when he was younger, early 80s, maybe even late 70s, early 80s. Then he got involved in drugs and, he had some issues. And he got out of the racing scene for a while and then fell back into it later in the 80s and won a couple of championships as an old-timer. And he was an amazing racer. I really was hoping that he would branch into road racing, which he never did. Tragically, he lost his life. But he didn't lose it because of a helmet issue. He actually died in a fire, believe it or not. His house caught on fire and perished in a fire in probably mid-90s maybe. But what ended his career was he was riding around on his little dirt bike at his house, on his driveway, and he wasn't wearing a helmet. And he had just a little get-off, probably going 15 miles an hour, and he hit his head. Is that the fuzz? And had brain damage. And that basically ended his career. So So you got to think, if Ricky Graham, one of the most talented racers in the world, can have a little mishap at 10 miles an hour, hit his head, and change his life forever, you better damn well think that there's a good chance that you and I are going to do it too. So protect your noggin. Thank you, Carl, for reminding me of that story. And finally, imagine if I forgot to press the record button again. That's what I did the last time. The final question of the day is my next big ride destination. Well, the corona kind of messed everything up for me. I was really hoping that this summer I was going to finally get to hop on my motorcycle and go to Alaska. It's been something I've been dreaming of doing since even before I started riding motorcycles. I've always wanted to go to Alaska and ride or go on the Dalton Highway. So this summer, it seemed like it was going to work out perfectly with my work. My youngest daughter is a senior. She's graduating. She's becoming a lot more responsible. But the corona kind of messed everything up. I missed some work. Who knows what's going to happen with the economy. I'm self-employed. I rely on the economy. I'm part of that trickle-down economics that really does work. People who can afford to hire someone like me to come and fertilize their lawns, they need to be making a good living too. So I'm afraid that the economy might really take a hit right now. So more than likely my destination this summer is going to be North Carolina. My daughter lives in North Carolina. I'm going to go down and visit her with my youngest daughter, Elizabeth, on the back of the Triumph. And I'm going to drop Lizzie off with Victoria and her husband. They're going to go to the beach, have a good time. I'm going to take off and do some riding on the Blue Ridge and that kind of stuff. So, Smoky Mountains. So, I think that's it. I think I've completed the 7-gear challenge on my red Ducati. So, Michael Byrne, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Let me know if I am not. You're now officially challenged to do the 7-gear challenge. Question challenge. Look in the description. I'll actually type them in there so you can look at them and think about it. And hop on your motorcycle, turn on your camera, and let us know a little bit about yourself and your motorcycle world. That's it, folks. Listen, enjoy your day. I know everybody's panicking out there about the coronavirus. We're doing social distancing. A lot of people aren't working. We got the stay-at-home Nazis out there. So listen, it's real. Yes, it's real. But don't let the cure be worse than the disease. I know somebody else said that, and probably there's a group of people out there that probably hates the person that said that. And no matter what that person says, I'm sure that they would never agree with it, even if somebody else said it. But it's true. Don't let the cure be worse than the disease itself. That's all I'm going to say. Keep America great, baby. Peace.